I cannot tell all the same about numerous and Rossi middle class. Because this statement Putin which, with it was impressed this week simply. All country I even hear and so am simple. The monitor. Social networks of any Putin. Slightly dork off to me interesting what. Their technicians lower and that they there. Speak even I has seen there certain operas. From that Putin has really declared that. In Rossi 70% of middle class and those concerned middle class who receives 17,000 rubles well that is the grandfather has absolutely departed where in space to put. Let's listen about middle class where have lost. Spoke there will be more than half listen. Such middle class B means. If you think that middle class in four as live in France and Germany the states that it does not correspond. The validity. Middle class in each party the different. There is a corresponding technique of the world. Bank it. Consistent that middle class, it is considered on quantity of households. People which incomes in 1.5 time. It is more than the minimum size of payment. Work. And as such, the minimum wage rate 11,280. In my opinion this year is so an average. The salary much above it as such. Many to listen confidently with. 70% and average have survived earlier. Mediocre class. But you know after all we should start with. Realities by means of but not means and. By a technique of World Bank also understands. The person that will see it and millions people. As it is possible for millions people among which millions beggars well that is at people. Really receiving 17,000 rubles which receives 17,000 rubles pay then 6,000 rubles for ZHKX and then not simply consider Kopeck from on the West and they cannot buy salaries. Anything for them it turned out to itself on 100,000 rubles you live Moscow even in region you cannot buy to yourself coffee and for a dinner and they perfectly understand the role that they any not middle class they very poor people they are already even in the bottom part of poverty he understands that. Today is smart to speak to give among a class. You know World Bank such technique. By a technique of World Bank if not to say lies. Simply really to look at us in Rossi. Middle class not 70% and a zero. It is necessary clean 7% can. Simply now Google it and to look but. Simply 7% the real quantity of middle class in Rossi but. That is simply people juggle still. In figures the impudence besides suffices. To tell logic Putin and what at us. Minimum the size payment 11,000. The World Bank speaks that if that you on. 70% are more than minimum. The size means in middle class well so to take down the minimum wage rate to ruble. And then all turns out ruble 70. There will be a middle class and someone receives 5 rubles a month then will be in general. Off it will no rich well that is it. Simply absolutely false it is impudent and hypocrisy based on the mathematician from the first class any first grade or understands that 17,000 rubles such not. The middle class is the person which can buy itself something among a class. The person which can be postponed among. The class is the person which has told to me. Boots are necessary and has gone and has bought. Boots the person receiving 17,000 it. Cannot make middle class 100. The person which has wanted to buy the TV. And in 2 months it was bought television age. Has on credit wanted to buy all the car and. I have bought a year later or through too. It not the most part of people in Rossi too. To regret for this reason I saw that. Most one of the most popular fight of I. Even has asked if it is so. Please it is real that at the price on. Oil and for $10 for a barrel. As middle class in Rossi I will be considered. Any person clubs. Here so it also will be here to a floor on. To the Putin logic so it also is a pancake and. The question why it is born by me when I have heard this all have thought I think well. Clearly that he is interested in that. To be more popular instead of less popular it is obvious Putin are not interested in that all country and including all Putins of disgust were indignant here with it. The statement of price about 17,000 rubles. Middle class simply you conduct has told. The grandfather has driven off in the parallel worlds and it. Any not exaggeration it with what? Year is the big chief. From the beginning of the middle 90 this person. The vice governor St. Petersburg. Then it therefrom has moved became in. Control management Kremlia then. Accordingly became the head FSB. So further yes I before by the way veins. In Germany I went all mixed the Soviet. The union was in full poverty. This dude I live in Germany, I where all was ready much better. I that lived in a military camp somewhere. Their feet there were any children at which parents did not serve abroad and were a small amount of children which fathers came with Germany. I from Vengria there served the Western group of armies, and certainly it were super rich people at them there. There were boots a salamander at them, there was a service. The Madonna at them were red multicolored. Chewing gum and other children of it were not, and here Putin actually at 30 years leads life higher ranking nomenclatures and in the sense rupture. It takaba a separation from any normal. The person is absolutely simply more tremendous. Enormous, we all the same there. The vice governor even in the mid-90s. The second large city Moscow it. The person which sits in an office at which turn have corrected applicants, which in the Petersburg mayoralty still large quantity, that is they were. Already then Putin been already I think there. There was the millionaire, that is why that they're here all. This gang under Sobchak certainly yes. There were super corrupted people well, and as a matter of fact all these Sakine and Miller and Demi Medvedev here, all of them also remained, and so already since those times it is simple. Where any space, and it, by the way, speaking perfectly illustrates the present. Head St. Petersburg a big love, well that is. Who would seem it simply, but here. Slightly dricken any the ridiculous. The mustached uncle insignificant enough, but even for it play the whole sketch. Look even for what at that simply well. The insignificant governor which weighed much less than was in 90th years there. The governor were powers in general, anybody goes to shop communicates with the women. Let's look. From. Again. We will define. No. It to do. So we will tell. Well, like anything interesting too. Any insignificant big love has come in the shop and has communicated a cabin to women. The woman false it is instant. We have exposed that there were actresses. Any serials also it has appeared whom the security guard fluent, my god, even for it. Even distances of nasty shooting any herein. Shop that they there by Kaito, Macaroni the false person, and for Putin. These false people. 20 years already exist, it does not see anybody. Except false people each time when. But you saw much these ridiculous photos when to meet with someone. Fishermen or simple woodcutters or simple people, which means surround. The churches you everyone that such sneaky all these. People they well that is it is simply absolutely any setup, and consequently but it has come off and is in general. Not clearly where exactly therefore in the same. The interview at Van Dent to the dude. At first has told that in Rossi. 70% of middle class of 18,000 rubles and then will persuade road to win. Francia banan in Francia vubs jamin. Francia so it is very bad. To slice let's listen as in Francia. Dull yet would not be desirable to increase incomes. As in Francia but look that occurs still well. About there do not represent performance. Though there are no whole branches of economy not work during these disorders. 1. The person was lost, many have got wounds. Eyes are beaten out by rubber bullets. Bosh. The good. You want it that I think what not, but here. In Francia the people left to macro have told. The course took a course as taken away as played back. Well, so I am developed well I do not know for. The French people I think yes, which not. I think a shelter Vladimirovich first. Anything essentially has not exchanged they. Discuss pension reform in the same place in. Francia I too spent the pension. Macron and I have won back reforms, and Putin speaks there is nothing there good is not present in. Francia the salary average of 251,000 rubles, and the dude quite seriously speaks. Well, with something in Francia anything good is not present because it seems to it good. The country and the bad country it not that. Here it turns out 1,251 therefore. To whom it is necessary it seems that all the same is better. To live in the country where 205 1,000 rubles. They were 17,000 middle class, and Putin knew the good country it there where seems that. The people adust their where and what it leave on streets, and they any decisions. Recoup in Francia the power it is compelled to concede. Certainly anything good is not present well into. Here and not important that 17 tis and it on. The business so he considers also considers that we so consider.